Alright guys, it's been a little bit. I decided to put some leather seats in Shrek. I got these seats at the junkyard and I just had them recovered. A buddy of mine owns a shop and he did both seats. Cost me more to have the seats recovered than I paid for Shrek. Anyway, Shrek is a pain in the ass, man. 98, 3.5 liter, and nothing in this fucking truck is pre-wired. Everybody else is blessed. I started out with the fog lights, oh, it's back here, behind the switches. Nope, it's not pre-wired. The power seats are not pre-wired, and the heaters are not pre-wired. So here's where I'm at right now. Got the seats back yesterday, and I decided to peel the main wiring harness back, see what I got, followed everything, and right now I'm tapping into the red wire is going to be my positive for the seat forward and back and tilt, and the black wire goes to this ground wire right here. You can see what I did here. That's how I do them. I peel the insulation back on the wire, I wrap it around, and then I solder it, and then I'll put a couple of things of electrical tape around it. So I'm gonna do this here, and then I'm gonna repeat this over on that side for that seat. That'll take care of the forward and back. I'm probably gonna use this ground for both the forward and back motors and also the seat heater grounds. I do have to run a relay, I believe, for the heater. So that's gonna happen. I took the center console out, and I'm gonna put those switches in, and I'll probably put an independent relay under each seat. Just sitting there. It's either gonna be a socket relay, or just I'll just do something and maybe solder directly to the pins on a micro relay. It's got to have enough power. The seats need 30 amps, which is number 10. So it's going to be pretty decent sized wire going to the relay to feed the heaters. Anyway, that's to come. In the interim, you can see I got all the carpet, the center console out, and everything. It's been a mess. I've been slowly, you can see I cleaned from there back. Now I'm cleaning from here back, getting all the crumbs and shit out of Shrek for the last 21 years or 20 years. This is the shit that I gotta peel up before I can do the bed liner floor in here. I'm either gonna do rubber matting or bed liner floor. Then I thought about Dynomat. I'm not sure what the fuck I'm doing yet, but no matter what, this shit has to come up. It's nasty, and you can see my dog hairs in there and all kinds of shit. Anyway, this is where I'm at right now. I'll show you the bottom of the seat. It's pretty straightforward on the seats. You got power and ground. If I hotwire these two, I can make the seat do whatever I want. Pretty sure, I haven't looked yet, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the ground for the heater, and one of these is going to be the power to the heater back, and the power to the heater where your ass is. We'll figure it out. And so these will come, these will come off. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Off the relay. When I took these seats out of the junkyard, I took the heated seat switches, so I'll probably put those in the center console. I'm just taking it one step at a time here. I don't really give a fuck as long as I get my front seat in and my driver's seat in. I can drive it. Last night I went home and I had it jumped out with the goddamn battery. So, I just left the battery sitting in there, hooked up to these two wires. So, as long as it fucking works, I'm good to go. Anyway, fellas, I'll update this in a little while once I make some connections, show you a little bit more. All right. Alright guys, a little edit on what I said on Shrek. Here's where I was working before. You can see CB2 is a 30 amp. It's a circuit breaker in the fuse panel by your driver's kick plate. And it provides black and blue to these three different circuits right here, which is the driver's power seat and the passenger's power seat, and also the power window relay. So if we go to, if we scroll over just a little, Now we've got the C2, which is the seat heater. It's a 15 amp, and all it does is 15 amp is much better for 2 seats. I don't have to worry about a relay or anything like that. Where I was confused before was, or where I said relay, was thinking power window relay. This is also This is also in the kick panel where this circuit breaker is. If you look at your back of your little door, you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll say CB2, 30 amp circuit breaker, and then just below it you'll see the relay. This relay does locks, all that stuff, power windows, power locks, and sunroof, which Shrek doesn't have. So none of this wiring is here. The only wiring that's here is this, but I do have, I was able to find the feeder that comes across on this. What I'll do now is I'll flip over to the heater circuit, which is here. This is the driver's seat heater circuit, and you can see the cushions just go straight up. So off of that dash fuse, we go to the heater switch, which is the green and red, and then over to the passenger heater switch, the green and red. So that's the power feed off the 15 amp. So I'm probably just going to put an inline fuse. I do not have C2 in the fuse panel. You see how it says dash fuse box? C2 is there. There's a hole, but it's not. It hadn't been pre-wired from the factory. So I don't have a hot terminal on either side of that fuse. So it's useless to me. I'm going to come off of probably Shrek's auxiliary panel under the hood, or I may even just come off that seat feeder for the power seat, because chances are you're not going to be moving the power seat while you're running the heaters. But anyway, that's probably what I'm going to do, but I'm going to put an inline 15 amp fuse, and then I'm going to butt splice these two green and reds for the left and right switch together. I'm also going to butt slice these. You can see we got a black here and a black here, and all those do is provide ground to the little indicator lamp in these heater switches. So I'm just going to join the green. I'm going to join the green and reds together, and I'm going to join the blacks together, and then the other connections are just going to go feed over here. They're going to feed the actual heaters. You can see black, which is just again another ground, so that'll just tap in off of that same seat ground that I showed you earlier when I soldered it, and that'll go one to each seat. And then the only other wires are the white and red, and that's for the seat back power. And then you have the white, and those are what's going to turn on. You're going to turn on your heaters. You're either going to have your seat cushion on, or your seat back on, or both on. All right. Anyway, I'll follow through a little later. I'm going to splice all this shit together so it's one long fucking video, and then I'm going to put it on YouTube. All right. I'll re-advise you, and I'll splice back in if I need to. All right. Wanted to show you one more thing here. This is pertaining to what I was just telling you before, where I'm getting the power for the seats. If you see this right here, back on page 11 I showed you this, but here's a better view of it. This is CB2, and you can see it's in the dash fuse box. This is actually a circuit breaker, all right, and it's fed, and I followed it behind. I pulled the actual fuse box off the wall, the kick panel, and looked behind it, and there's just a jumper that goes from here to here. This is the power window relay. This is also back there in the dash fuse panel. Okay, so once once the coil is energized, which is always when the ignition is on, this coil goes hot, this pulls in. I always have power on the blue with the black stripe. It's a pretty decent sized wire, maybe 12. And then this SB41, that's a splice block, and I couldn't find it. I looked all over for it. I can see it goes to the power sunroof, and then I also have one heading out to the to the back heater circuit. But anyway, what I would like to say is right here underneath the seat, where I showed you in the very first portion of this video, is that harness goes under the driver's seat. Well, a blue and black runs there, and that's the same blue and black I'm splicing off of. I'm wrapping and soldering, and you saw that in the video already. So I'm going to do that for both of the seat heaters, and I'm also going to probably, I can't decide yet if I'm going to splice into this with a 15 amp or just run another home run all the way back to my fuse panel and supply a 15 amp inline underneath the seats for the heater. I could also do it in an auxiliary panel, which is under Shrek's hood, which also takes the micro fuses. So I might do that and then just have to run one wire back, and But I did want to show you how, if you look at the colors, you got to be careful. It's black and blue coming in, it feeds the relay. When it comes out, the hot wire is now blue and black. Change colors. Blue and black feeds all these circuits that you see right here, which most of which Shrek doesn't have. He does have 120 point, I think it's 122 and 3, which I'll flip the page if you bear with me. Yeah, you can see that's the left rear power window switch, and then you have the right rear power window switch. So Shrek does have those, so you can see that those go off and feed those circuits right here. If you look right here to A and to B, and then if you go to those pages, you'll see them right here. Here's A and here's B. So these are the feeders to those switches. They're blue and black, and they stay blue and black for the rest of the run. Okay, it's not as complicated as it sounds. I'm just really used to this stuff, but all you got to do is just make sure, if you're following a wiring diagram, that you make sure you catch your change like this, because you don't want to be splicing into the wrong wire color, because you can easily go black and blue, and then boom, blue and black. Blue and black is the actual feeder to the entire circuit after that relay switch, after that relay goes hot, which is always when the ignition is on. Alright, as soon as you turn on the ignition, C4 provides power to the coil. The ground is always made. The coil goes hot. The relay closes. We got power here. We change colors. Just keep that in mind, guys. Alright, and this book is pretty good. This is the manual, and it does tell you where the most of the shit is. It's only lacking in the splice blocks, and there's a lot of them in this car, so they should have done a little bit better job of saying, hey, we put that underneath the dash, or hey, we put that here, but they didn't. Just based on what I see, my guess is it is somewhere under the dash. They do it in the wiring harnesses, so you can never actually get to them. I found a few splice blocks so far just wandering around. I'm going to recover everything when I'm done. So my goal is to make it as close to OE as possible, but on this seat heater I'm going to have to change it, because I don't even have that fuse in my panel, in my dash fuse box. So all right, I'll catch up with you. All right, guys, just another touch base here. You can see I'm underneath the driver's seat. You can see my connections are here. I've harnessed everything. I've came up here and I've gone to, it's hard to see under here, but I've gone to the black to black, and I joined it to the black of the seat heater also. So these three wires are common, or ground, and then the red is the power for the seat heater, which I ran to the blue and the black wire, which I discussed in the earlier segment. That comes off a CB2, and it's 30 amp, and it's more than enough to cover these, and it was inclusive. It's 4 power seats, so I don't have to add anything extra. Okay, one thing I need to do, I need to run 2 additional wires to the center console, which is right there where I'm going to put the 2 seat switches. Alright, so you got the drivers and passengers, and they're lighted. I join the grounds together, and I join the hots together. The hots are going to go through an inline fuse to power. The grounds are just going to go to the ground bus. There's one right there. You can see it. I'll just tap into that. Okay, then you see I have 4 wires, 2 per switch. Well, I pigtailed off of here. I made a little harness, and I made a note in the schematic. White and red over here goes to blue, and white goes to green. Well, they'll come over here, and the blue will go to this one, which is the seat back, and the green will go to this one, which is the seat base for the driver's side. So these will connect here. Whenever I get over there, I'll cut the harness down to length, and I'll have to rinse and repeat on the other seat. Everything you see here, I'm not going to duplicate on the other seat, but everything you see here is going to be repeated on the other seat, including the wire coloring. So I have to do all this over again on the other seat. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a zip tie here, and I'll zip tie these all off here. And then I'm going to tape those wire nuts on for now. I'm thinking about getting quick disconnects. So this way, if I ever have to disconnect them, I don't have to worry about that red being hot whenever the ignition is on, or making sure the cap is on there or whatever. And then this, I'm just going to zip up here again. A couple of zips down the harness, over here and under. And all this is still loose for now. I'm just, just roughing everything in. Wanted to let you know where I'm at. This driver's seat is going back in, and I can worry about these 2 wires later on for the heater, but I will have power. Matter of fact, I have power right now since they're connected. But I'm going to put a little electrical tape and zip tie everything up nice so that nothing gets pinched or dragged or whatever. All right, stay with me and I'll keep you guys updated. All right, guys, another cut in. I wanted to show you a couple of things. It's windy as hell out here, but you can see both leather seats are in. By the way, they're looking beautiful. My boy did a good job. It came out nice. They're in, and you can see under here is the main harness. All right, I still left them wire nutted and taped and zip tied, but basically I did have this plug here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the other plug for the driver's seat and make them plug removable. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I didn't cut the plug off on the right side in the junkyard. Probably slipped my last nut off. Anyway, this runs down the main cable here. I zip tied it down, and basically, let me show you what I got. I made a harness for the seat heaters. You can see in there, I mounted the seat heater switches, driver and passenger. So here's my harness, I was talking about earlier in the video. I joined the black and the black together from each switch and went to a ground right here. You can see behind it, I wire brushed it with the whiz wheel and cleaned it up. I also did that underneath. You can't see it. Oh, maybe you can. There it is. That's for the seat harness, for the electric. This one is for the heater. With that said, I made all my connections. I made a green and a blue from the driver's seat and a green and a blue from the passenger seat, and those are the controls. Those turn on either the seat base or the seat back, as long as you have a ground. What I did too is I'm running, if you can see on the other side on the floor there, I'm running a whip all the way back to, I'm going to go to the main fuse. I think I'm going to go to an ignition wire. I just don't know where yet, and I'm not sure. I mean, I could, technically I don't have to, but you can see I'm going to put an inline 15 amp because that's what this circuit in the book calls for. It just, there's a fuse in there for a seat, but there's no power on each side of that fuse. No wire going into either side of the fuse from behind, so they never even bothered to send it over. I kind of would like an ignition wire, so I may in fact go to one of the other circuits that's used less often, like the rear window defogger. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do, but that'll provide power to the switches. When you hit the button, you get, depending on what you hit, you're either going to get power down the small blue, or the small green, with tracers on either one, and that'll power up the seat because the The other side of the heater is grounded over here, right over here. And on the other side also, I don't know if you recall, I grounded the plug side to the other side where my seat is grounded. Like, in other words, here where that ground is, that goes over to the seat ground for the power, and it also goes over to the heater ground. So I know I have a good ground. That and that are the same point, continuity wise. And basically, I wanted to show you this because I'm about to put this console back in after I clean it. Everything had coffee and God only knows what from 1998, but I'm cleaning it all up. This is for my never used winter power switch, and this I'm gonna rewrap down a little bit, and that'll go to the two seat heaters. And I'm gonna button all this up and figure out how I want to hit my power. But as of right now, I've got ignition and I have seats. As you can see, they'll move, they do whatever, back and forward. Next step is heater, and hopefully we get that done. Then I got to figure out what the hell to do with the floor. These came out really nice. I like it a lot. Anyway, I'll update you in a little bit when I decide how I wanted to hit that on the home run, and we'll see what's going on. Alright guys, so I decided to send it all the way back. Even though I chose the same blue and black, I wanted to put the fuse by the fuse panel so that there's no random fuse anywhere in here. So you can see I ran it from over there. I put the console back in, down and under, and zipped it to the harness. Came around and went all the way back to the fuse harness. Now this is where the blue and black comes out of the panel and goes to the window switches. So I just snipped it and I tripled it and soldered it. Now I'm going to put a choking, I'll show you. I'll put a choker on here of a zip tie to hold them like this, nice and firm. I'll get my hand out of the way. So that'll go on there, and then I'll tape the shit out of it. This gets tucked in because this connector goes in here, right? And then this all will get tucked in. There's a little hole back there, recess. Then I'll put the fuse cover. So this way my 15 amp fuse is here, and I'll have this over here somewhere so that, I know where it is, and it's not randomly buried in the wall somewhere. It's where all the other fuses are. Anyway, that's going to supply the power to the heaters. All right. I'll update when I'm done, but that's just about it. A few more pieces, put the trim molding back on, and I'm good. Alright, I got them all buttoned up. You can see I put the plates back in. There's my wiring. Again, still going to do something with the floor. Once I do something with the floor, I'm going to loom all that, or just run some tape around it like it was all the way. I'm going to hop on in. There's my switches, and you can see they're lit up. Off, on. Yeah, let's see what we got. A little heat for an old dude like myself. Oh, nice. Oh, should probably put my gun there. All right.